Good morning or good afternoon for all of you. Can everyone hear me and see me? Yes, evening, right, evening for all of you. Okay, so Alex, I'll let you give me the thumbs up. Tell me when to start, and I will begin the presentation.
Привет всем, кто нас смотрит. Теперь это 19 человек, возможно, к нам присоединятся еще люди. Сегодня мы собрались вот на нашей традиционной стартап-школе. Проходит она, правда, в нетрадиционном формате, в онлайн-режиме, точнее, трансляция, онлайн-трансляция, хотя здесь в зале у нас тоже собралось некоторое количество людей, мы уже успели выпить кофе, пообщаться. Я вот ребятам уже рассказал, что в связи с тем, что наше мероприятие сегодняшнее, оно проходит в период, когда в Беларуси и в других странах мира празднуют неделю предпринимательства. Ну, кто-то, наверное, празднует, а большинство людей работает, делает бизнес. Вот. Мы, собственно, тоже стараемся не отставать, и поэтому, так сказать, замутили вот такое вот мероприятие с одним из интереснейших проектов родом из Чикаго. Kilton чуть попозже нам об этом расскажет. Друзья, кто нас смотрит онлайн, мероприятие будет, точнее, Kilton будет рассказывать на английском языке. Перевод на русский будет только здесь у нас в зале, поэтому лучше не обессудьте. Вот, если ничего не поймете, то это сигнал к тому, что нужно учить английский язык. В следующую среду у нас будет похожее мероприятие с другим проектом. Ну и, я так понимаю, Kilton ничего не понял из того, что я сказал. Я сейчас просто ему передам слово. Там что-то со звуком. Друзья, решайте проблемы со звуком. У нас все вроде хорошо. Все хорошо? Пожалуйста, машите там привет. Отлично. Хорошо. Kilton передаю слово. Ну и всех вас ждем в следующую среду. Если у вас будут проблемы сегодня с связью, то в следующую среду приходите на офлайновое мероприятие. Так, переключаемся.
Right. Okay, here we are. So, are we ready to begin? And can everyone see the slides? I can't hear you all, so if someone could type, can you see the presentation? Yes? No, I hear no. Okay, some can see the presentation, some cannot. All right. Let me move a slide and move back. Can you see it now? And it should go back to the beginning. Yes, I see some people are seeing it. Okay, and now slide one. Is slide one accessible? Not for you. Interesting. Okay, I will try to force the presentation here. I think it will catch up for everyone also as I progress. So let's go ahead and begin. What we're going to do is explore two different startups, one which failed and one which seems to be successful so far. And then I'm going to talk about startups in general and try to give some perspective on what it is to be in the world of entrepreneurship, this being about my 22nd year in entrepreneurship. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into the first. This slide will hopefully, when I change it over, will hopefully come up and everyone can see it. All right, so who am I? Why should you listen to me? Well, don't listen unquestioningly, but so my name's Kilton, and I'm the CEO of Icon, and in the past I was the CTO of 5 Degrees. I've had many other positions in my career, but this is all just the recent stuff. I received my master's in business from Chicago Booth, which is a very good school for business here in Chicago and here in the United States. I've been programming since I was 8 years old, and I started my first company when I was 12 years old, and that would be in the year 1990. It was a software company, like it should be. It was called Vendicom. That was 12. It failed. So let me tell some of my, oh, by the way, this is the computer that I started programming on in the 1980s. So it was a whole different world back then. If you could make software, you made money. It's much easier. So the slides take a moment. There we go. So the history. We'll start by looking at 5 degrees, the failure case. And so what happened here? There was the original company was called the App House. And the App House was created in 2009, in the fall of 2009. And what we did is, as you can see some of the apps that are here on the screen, we created many different apps. Oh, good. It says history of 5 degrees now. It should. We created many different apps. Some of them we were paid to create. Some of them we created by ourselves. You see this one that's kind of a tan color here. It says Simon Graham and the Extraordinary Timepiece. That was a very, very successful app. And so as we went along, we realized that what we really wanted to do was we wanted to have some repeat product that we owned instead of just simple apps or games. And around the springtime of 2010, so think about March 2010, we created this thing called Getbacks. And Getbacks was a product that allowed people to create reminders for themselves when they met somebody, and they got to do it on their iPhone. And we presented it out in Silicon Valley and at an event there, and the public seemed to like it quite a bit. So we thought maybe this is where we want to go. Maybe this is our product. Now, of course, the name Getbacks with this stupid alligator was terrible, but it progressed, and it turned into this product, and it turned into 5 degrees. And that's when this whole thing began, and we switched away from being the App House into being this startup called 5 degrees. And now I'll tell you a little bit more about what 5 degrees is. I think the presentation is kind of hard to read. It's translated poorly, but so here's the market problem for 5 degrees. It's in the world of smartphones. People are expected to keep in touch and do business 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter if they're at the grocery store, if they're sitting on their couch at home, or if they're in the office, they are expected to do business. And the problem with that is that a lot of the information that you would record normally when you're at the office is getting lost. And so we thought, keeping track of relationships when you're using mobile devices, that's a challenge, that's difficult. And so let's fix that. So we proceeded to create this mobile relationship management or customer relationship management CRM software, and a light CRM for the web to go with it. And we thought that must be the solution. People want to manage the relationships by tracking them on their mobile devices. This should work. But you'll see what happens. That's why I put the solution with the question mark, right? Or there we go, with the question mark. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. So it made sense. So we progressed. And this is how we went about doing it. We had 3 engineers, and that was me and 2 other programmers, and it took about 4 months to get a first version done. Immediately thereafter, we brought on another 2 programmers and a QA person and built even more for 8 months. Well, I don't know that that was really the right idea, because the whole time we had 4 managers. And so a little question for the audience here. What kind of software do you get when you have a development team and 4 managers? And I can't hear you, so I'll answer the question, but I'll give you a minute to laugh about it. This is what you build. You build software that makes 4 managers happy and doesn't do anything else. You know, there's a big difference between the marketplace and managers. And 1 manager, it's okay. But when you have too many people trying to direct a team or direct a startup, inevitably, I see a comment reminds my current situation. Yeah. What happens is you end up having a conflict. This person thought, I'm going to build this, and this person said, I want to build this. And so what you get is you get something right in the middle. It's a little hard in the video there. There we go. There we go. You get something right in the middle, which makes it feel like you've developed something that was a good compromise. But in the middle of the 4 managers, there's one major thing that's missing: the voice of the marketplace. And you can't go wrong with the voice of the marketplace, but you so easily go wrong with the voice of management. All right, so what happened was after those first 4 months, we ended up finally putting the application and the concept in the hands of some users. This is November of 2011. And we've got some food, and we brought 10 potential users, of people that we thought would really appreciate the software. We brought them into our office, and everyone had video cameras, and we had, you know, a person sitting at the computer, and behind them was one of the programmers videotaping so that we could say, let's see what they like and what they don't like. And how did it go? Well, only 1 out of 10 people liked it. And I think he was being kind. Most people didn't even understand what they were doing. And 1 person really hated it. Like, I mean, one person, he stood up from the computer and he said, I think this is terrible. And he walked out. Why did we wait 4 months to do that? Why didn't we do that after 2 weeks or 30 days, right? There's a lesson in there. So right after this happened, it was the perfect opportunity to say, you know what, this isn't working. Let's go back to the start, and let's talk to a bunch of users and say, well, you didn't like that, but what do you want? Unfortunately, however, as usually happens with 4 managers, we failed to learn. We didn't take that opportunity to go back to the start and talk to the users directly. So what we did was we continued on the same path. So all of a sudden, after additional effort, we finally have what seems to be a bit of good success. If any of you are familiar with South by Southwest, or South by in the entrepreneurship community, it's an event in Texas, in the state of Texas in the United States, in Austin, it happens every year. And at this event, there's a lot of music, there's a lot of movies, and then for the first 5 days, there's a lot of startups and technology. It's called the interactive section. And for 2012, 5 Degrees was chosen by South by Southwest to participate in a pitch competition, presentation contest. Oh, we thought this is perfect. So many startups get so much publicity out of South by Southwest, and we've been officially chosen. This should be really good. So instead of talking about why 8 out of 10 users didn't like our software and 1 out of 10 hated it, instead we're talking about, let's get ready for South by Southwest. Not really a great idea, but hey, at least it looked like we were making traction. And so what we did, we made the same mistake again. Instead of preparing something new, because we could have started over, we just added new features to the same software that nobody had liked back in November. We placed second in the mobile category at all of South by Southwest. This should have translated into great success. Should have. But there's a problem with that. So a flawed product that gets a lot of publicity, what does it become? I think this is so funny. It becomes, come on slide, there we go, a very well-known flawed product. That's it. No amount of publicity will help something that is inherently flawed that nobody wants. And you have to be very careful to ask yourself, am I doing this next move for me or for the success of the business, right? Or am I doing this because it feels like success or because it truly is success? So, yep, all that South by Southwest preparation didn't bring us anything. But there was something good that we got out of it. That publicity, while it didn't help us as a business in any way, it did bring us a lot of, come on slide, data. And that's because with all that publicity, we got a lot of users. Like overnight, right away, got a lot of users. And we were tracking, because the architecture of the software was good, we were tracking the usage of 5 degrees on the web and on the mobile. And that data started to add up. So we got statistical information about how long users were staying in the software, about what they were doing in the software. And what did I write here? That's the most honest information available as long as you have enough data. So what do I mean by statistic, by the way? Because there's a difference between doing something like looking in Google Analytics or other tracking software and saying, look, there's 20 people in the website today and there was only 5 yesterday, so that new article that we put in must be drawing a crowd. Well, maybe is the answer. And how do you know? Well, you apply statistics, and you need to take a look at your data and treat it like a scientist. And instead of thinking, how can I prove that what we are doing is right, you actually should be asking yourself, how can I find proof that what we're doing is wrong? Because if you can't find it, then you don't have to convince anyone. But if you can find it, then what you did is you hurt yourself versus letting someone else hurt yourself, which is a lot easier to control, right? I'd rather shut down my own bad idea than have somebody else shut it down for me. And I'd rather do it fast and cheap. All right, so what happened next? We had 500 people, and that's daily. We had 500 people, on every day using it, and that's a pretty good amount of people. And more were coming, but a lot were going at the same time, right? So thousands of people came through, but it doesn't matter. And but only about 20 appeared to like it. And when we asked those 20, would you pay $10 a month? They said, oh, no. Oh, no, no. So, okay, there's still a big problem here. It looked like maybe there was good data, but there wasn't. And so how was this whole operation funded? Well, the partners, the managers, I was one of them, paid in to 5 degrees. So it was self-funded. And we had a little bit from friendly investors that believed that we were doing something good. But other than that, we actually couldn't get professional investors to invest. We tried. We tried actually every month since that November, and we couldn't get anyone putting money in. And that's a sign. Looking back, that says everything, right? If professional investors who evaluate startups for a living aren't interested, then there must be something going wrong. And so also, around the same time, the team hated it. Really, they were not having a good time. And it was my responsibility as a CTO to make sure that the engineering team was happy. They weren't. They were not happy. And that's because even though all of the signals were there saying that this was a failing product, they were still being asked to work very hard, adding a bunch of features to a failing product. And it's kind of like being asked if you were, let's say, on a let's say a battleship in a war, and the whole ship is sinking, and everyone's dying, and you're being asked to clean the kitchen on the battleship, just because that's what you always were told to do. you know, you're probably not going to be too happy about the short-sightedness of the captain at that point. And that's pretty much what it felt like. So I had to do something about that, and they were all going to quit. And I liked them. I wanted to work with that team. It was a very talented engineering team. And I didn't want to stop working with them. So I thought, okay, what can I do here? It's time for a change. And so I decided that I would go form a different startup with the same team. Mostly it's because the other managers of 5 Degrees continued to say the same product will work if we just add 1 or 2 more features. 1 or 2 more features. And that's something to take note of, by the way, in the world of startups. It's also in the world of a large enterprise running a large company, which I've participated in doing in the past too. The addiction is that when something is not working, you think it's because of something small. So you say, we spent, for example, when I was at JP Morgan, we spent $50 million revising a product, bringing a new version to life. And after $50 million, we said, it's still not working. People still don't really want this new version. And instead of saying, we got everything wrong, let's start over, or figure out what happened, we said, let's spend $5 million more on a couple of additional features, and that should fix it. When I left that company, I don't know what total amount they had spent, but they were still following the same process, which doesn't ever bring a good result. If the first thing you do is not attractive enough to be working, then adding new features is not the answer. So I started the next company in the presentation. Time for coffee. And this company is called Icon. Things are very different in this company. The official name is Icon Technologies Corporation. And so the big realization that I had in doing all of that last startup, the 5 Degrees there, is that some products work, some don't. But a company is a little bit different. So if you build a company, meaning that you dedicate yourself to working in a particular industry on a particular type of problem with a particular type of people, and you say, I don't know what our successful products are going to be, but we're going to do that as many times as it takes, and you don't think about, well, it has to happen tomorrow or we run out of money, that would be a different situation. Oh, I'm being asked, can we have a break? Absolutely, we can have a break. Absolutely. Cool. Do you want me to turn off video? Yes? Well, this got some issues. Great. And this keeps smiling. Great. I'll stay on video then, I guess. Okay. All right. Okay. Are we ready for the second half of the presentation? All right. Great. Okay. So can everyone see the... oh, you're waiting on video. Okay. Can everyone, can you see video now? Yeah, good to go? Okay. All right, so, and answer all the questions in the chat, please. Okay, you want me to answer the questions now before we go into the next slides? I think that's a yes. Okay, I will go up here, and first, so have a question about the URL for the company. That's very straightforward. It's iconlabs.co, and I've put it in the chat, and I'll put it in the chat again. And so that is, oh, someone says just a minute. Just let me know when. Okay, great. So yeah, the URL is iconlabs.co. It's a placeholder page. The funny thing is that company has grown so fast that we have actually spent very little time making the company look good. We've just been working for our customers. Okay, so then the next question, not related at all to Icon, was can I tell a few words about the site of the company? I don't know if that's 5 degrees or Icon, but either way, it doesn't really matter. It says, is it necessary to have an internet store? And what's the cost of it in the United States? So the cost of running an internet store is actually cheaper in the United States than it is to have a regular physical store. If I were in the city of Chicago, if I were to open a store that sold clothes, like let's say women's clothing, right, fashion, the city taxes are 9.5% or something like that, right? And if I were to sell online on the internet, and someone in, let's say, the city of New York were to buy buy a T-shirt, they would pay 0% sales tax. And so nobody has to pay taxes across state lines. And so it actually is no more expensive to run an internet store, and in a lot of cases less expensive if your customers are from outside of your local area. So maybe that makes a difference, because I've heard that actually it's quite expensive to have the internet store taxation there in Belarus. So that means then that, of course, the business models will be different, right? You'll actually prefer not to sell online out of your location if that's the case. I would, of course, petition to have changes if internet commerce, internet stores are a good business opportunity, but the taxes are preventing growth. Then that would be an area that I would keep open for discussion. Of course, for economic development is how to arrange the taxes to promote growth instead of prevent growth. Cool. Okay. Let me know if there's further questions there. And I have the question: do I feel that my MBA, my business degree, helped a lot in building my business? The answer is yes, because of the school that I attended. I never thought that getting a business degree would be a good idea for a technology startup. But the school that I attended is the University of Chicago School of Business, and it has that university has a good focus on entrepreneurship. So after getting my MBA from that school, I found it easier to locate investors. I found it easier to understand the economic trends in the marketplace. All in all, it was a school that taught me how to think better. And so, yes, it really did help. But I think the practices of management that you would use in the corporate world, that you would get from most MBA programs, most business programs, are probably not going to be very helpful, because they are best practices, but best practices that work today in a company that's valued at $1 billion or more, right? A public company, big company. What you're doing in a startup environment is you're creating new best practices that will work for tomorrow with 5 or 10 people. And it's all really about the talking to the marketplace and developing products, and that's not the focus of most MBA programs. So I'd be very cautious about thinking that it's going to help or not help. But in my case, it did. Okay, were there any other questions to cover? Ready for presentation? Okay, 1 second, I hear. Yes, yes, go ahead with the question. Um, let's see. So the question is, it says, how many developers does my project satisfy? I'm a little difficulty understanding the question. Are you asking how many developers does my current project icon use? Is that the question, or I think the translation's a little hard. I don't know. Okay, in icon, do you mean? Okay. In icon, there's now 10 developers. You will see, and 2 supporting staff members. You will see in the icon presentation what happens there. We can talk more about that at the end as far as the how many, because also it will double again within the next couple of months. It's moving very quickly. And then I have another question. Who were the friendly investors in the first projects? Well, I can't reveal names on that because they were friends and family, like close friends. And so there's a difference between angel investors, like that are public angel investors, and angel investors that are, let's say, my grandfather. Not my grandfather, but in the case of 5 degrees, someone's grandfather. And so that's what I mean by friendly investors, friends and family. Which I'll take a moment to explain. Of course, the 3 types of money that exist out there for startups. The first type of money, which is the money that comes most easily, is the money from you and your friends and family. Yeah, friends, family, and what's the third F? Fools. Yes, absolutely. This is really funny because it's totally true. The way that it works is that with no proof and very little experience, the people who put money into your company are you and like, so let's say your neighbors and your best friends and your, you know, your brother and whatever, and then people who are called fools. Doesn't mean that they're foolish or that they actually are fools, but what it is people who don't do this professionally. They believe in the person, not so much in the business. And there's a certain danger to friend and family money, because instead of needing to prove it before you build it, friends and family money allows you to build it first and make the 5 degrees mistake. So you might want to ask yourself, if let's say your father is willing to put you know, $20,000 into your startup, ask yourself, will that $20,000 be spent? Well, of course it will. It will always be spent. Will it be spent building something that I know works? Or will it be spent figuring out if something works or not? And if that's the case, then a little bit slowly. Okay, gotcha. I'll say it one more time. So if your father were going to put $20,000 into your startup, ask yourself the question, do you know that $20,000 will be spent on something that works? Or are you guessing that something will work and you're going to spend $20,000 trying it, figuring that out? Because there's cheaper ways to find out if something is going to work than to build it. You can build something that looks like it for very cheap and show it to people before you spend your dad's $20,000. Right? That's the lesson. Friends and family money is dangerous. Makes you do stupid things. And so then the second type of money is this is the angel money. This is the money that comes from people who believe that you are doing something worthwhile. And they're called angel investors because you don't have to know them personally. In fact, it's probably better if you know, you get to know them through your investment, or they get to know you professionally, because then their judgment is not impaired. They're not biased. And so angel investors are, it doesn't matter the range. Some angel investors will put $500,000 into a company, but most put something like $50,000 in. And an angel investor is there to say, it's not time yet to put a lot of money in. And I don't know if it works, but I think it will work. But I have reasons to think that this is a pretty good idea to invest in this company. And they put the money in early. And that's why they're called angels, because it's just like, it's almost like you wish for, you know, some money, and along comes this investor with, you know, the halo around this, an angel, says, I'll give you money. And the third type is professional money. And by the time you get to the point of where you're receiving professional money, it means that your startup is real. It means something you're doing is right. And it's not even then a matter of wondering, will we make it? It's a matter of wondering, will we make it as big as I think we can? So your whole entire goal should be to prove what it is that you're doing and get to the point of where anybody, and no matter who you ask, they want to put money in. A venture capital fund, if the partners of the venture capital fund or the associates want to put money in and say, this is we really want to be part of this, you've got something good. So, cool. Okay, that's enough about the money. Do we have any other questions? We'll go on to the second half of the presentation. Okay. I don't see any other questions, so let's go on. All right, there we go. Let's go on with presentation. We can do more questions at the end. All right, so icon. Here we go. I now okay, so I have another question, but I will answer this at the end of the presentation if you don't mind. So hold on to that question, Alexander. Okay, so I came out of 5 degrees. We came out of 5 degrees. Me and 3 developers, 1 QA person, and 1 of the partners. And we said, here's the realization. If sometimes a product works, sometimes it doesn't, why not build a company that intends to test products as cheaply as possible and until it finds ones that work? If you think of large companies like Sony or IBM and how they got a start, in a way, they had a product that started to work, and they didn't think of their startup as that product. They thought of that product as an indicator of what types of things they wanted to do. In the case of, another good example is Motorola is another company that was similar. So in the case of Sony, the transistor came about, and Sony said, we can make these pocket radios, and we think that they're going to be popular. And then instead of calling their company something like, I don't know, Pocket Radio, and sticking with the product, they built, he said, I can't remember his name, the founder of Sony, but he said, the success that we have here is an indicator that we want to be in the consumer electronics space. Now that we've got some product that's working, let's continue and let's figure out how to make more products. IBM provided cash registers and simple business machines. Simple. They were mechanical only. Long time ago. But because they didn't define the company as a cash register, they said, this is, as a company, we will be in the space of business machines. And however that grows and changes, we'll learn how to build and test new products with the market. That's what Icon is one of these companies versus a product. And too often these days, startups are started with a product in mind. Where do you go when a product doesn't work, but that is the entire name and purpose of your company? You're left with nothing. So think carefully about whether you want to get into an industry for 20 years or whether you have a product idea and you're just testing that, because then you just test, and when it's done and you find one that works, build a company around that. Cool. Also, relieve the pressures of time. So how do we do that in Icon? Well, here's the business model. The business model sounds an awful lot as if it's outsourced development or as if it's consulting, but it's something a little different. Non-technology companies need what I'm calling upside technology or strategic technology. An example is an education company that provides training materials for corporations. If they have new technology that allows them to deliver that training material via mobile, they're ahead of the competition, and they have some new technology that will help them sell their product and services. But they are not a technology company. They're an educational content company. So what do they need? Well, they can't have their own high-tech staff for several reasons. The first reason is what they really need built is they need a technology product. They don't need a technology team. The team has all of this cost, and they only need part of the team's time. So why spend $300,000–400,000 a year having 4 or 5 people on staff, including taxes? What you really want is you want to get your product done. And a complete team requires many people. That's a problem for a lot of companies that are not technology companies. They make their money selling, like in this example, they make their money selling education content. They don't make their money by paying engineers, software engineers. So also, if they don't have the right mix, then it won't work at all. Because to make mobile technology, you also have to have people who can understand the web and people who can understand server architecture, so on and so forth, right? Because a mobile application that doesn't communicate with the server doesn't allow you to distribute anything. So it's a little tricky. And to make all of it worse, this education company is going to have a very hard time finding the right engineers. Because the best talent, the best technology talent in the world does not want to go and work for an education company where they will do the same thing again and again and again. The real talent wants to work on many challenging products, and they want to learn as they grow in their career. So they won't work for a company like that. And that's exactly the types of problems that Icon solves. So Icon is built to go in and build strategic technologies for its customers. It's like having a really talented technology team, but you only pay for the amount that you need. And we realized all of this in Icon because we had just come from 5 Degrees, and I had run many projects inside large companies and small companies, and started other companies. And the thing that's always a problem is that if building technology is not how you make your money, it just helps you make money, then you don't really want that whole thing. And you want a team that knows how to do it and do it right. And that's really hard to find. So that's what we provide. And there's the bigger picture, though, because a service company is difficult to scale. And a service company is not really what I wanted to run. But it turns out that a service company can also make its own products. And in fact, it can make its own products without the pressure of time. So we can patiently build products and test them with the market, not needing to worry about whether any particular product works, and be more scientific about it. And so the revenue from building products for other companies gives us a lot of great things. It gives us fast growth, which is wonderful. It gives us reliable profits. It gives us time to do the research and development on new technologies of our own. And it gives us a whole world of product opportunities that we're able to take advantage of because, well, we're already present in that space building something for someone else when we see the opportunities. So if we don't have the pressure of investment capital running out because we have revenue, then, like I was saying, we can calmly and scientifically test products with the marketplace. The process of building products and seeing if how well they do in the market, canceling them if they don't do well, continuing with them if they do well, that process works over time. But it's expensive unless the company has some means of support already. No one will invest $2 million to give you 5 years to figure out a product that works. That's why they want to see a product that works before they put money in. So if you want to continue to try products, you really need your own revenue stream. There's a company that's done this before, a company called 37 Signals. You may or may not be familiar with them. They invented Ruby on Rails. They have a product called Basecamp, and as far as I haven't checked recently, but their value is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not outsourcing. That's something different, right? And that's Icon too. And so our success so far, we began on August 1st. That was about 100 days ago. We have over $150,000 in revenue. We have another $200,000 in negotiating contracts right now, so that means it will hit well over $250,000 before the end of 2012. And we should be in 7 figures in revenue for the following year. All of this on the service work, which means all of this on the services we provide to build technologies for other companies. I have no idea what will happen with the products, but that's exactly the point. You don't need to know in this sort of situation. But unfortunately, we do need investment capital because growing hurts. Growing requires money. And so we are raising investment. And no doubt that we will raise the money. It's fine. I've been asked already if people will be allowed to buy in. It's a very good sign, remember. Very good sign when public when professional money asks if they can invest. We'll be releasing our first innovative products into 2013. What those will look like, there's some examples already, what may be, new products, but we're going to see. And most important of all, we need to keep hiring really talented people. Okay, do we need a break now, or do we want to go through the startup lessons? You probably won't be able to raise $100 million to start in the automobile industry unless you come from the automobile industry. So your team is important here. But let's imagine you have the right team. You all came from different automotive companies, and you have a new concept for a new automobile that you think is going to be perfect for the future. And you can only raise $10 million, and you think that you need 100 million. Don't even start, because you'll lose all 10 million, guaranteed. It takes 100 to succeed. That's like going into a poker game, a game of cards at the casino, not having enough money to play the second round, but paying enough to get in. You're out before you even have a chance. So be careful. That's raising money for the right reasons. And it works on a small scale too. If you think you need 20,000 to get started and you only raise 2,000 or 5,000, don't start yet. Keep it aside until you've got enough. All right. I once had a technology company, audio recording technology company in the late 90s. And we ran out of money every 6 months. And we never raised enough to go all the way. And so what happened was, after 2 years of being in business and being somewhat successful, we still had to close because we never raised enough money to grow big. We just raised enough money to stay alive. That's not the same thing. All right, and if you avoid raising money because you want to keep more ownership, that's the problem. That's a wrong reason. Because if you can't see a way to make more money with investors together, where everybody makes more money, then either your startup is not as good of an opportunity as you think, and nobody should be investing, or you're thinking about it the wrong way. I'd rather give up 1/2 of a startup and bring on a partner who can help me make it 10 times as big, right, than keep all of it and have it be a moderately sized company. It's kind of if it's a career, then why not bring other people with you, right? And you will start up again, by the way. Next one you can keep 100% because you paid for the whole thing. All right, next advice. Listen to the market and give up your version of a product if the market doesn't like it. It's real attractive, it's almost addictive to come up with product ideas and startup ideas at the coffee shop or right in your own home or wherever you are and write them down and think, this is awesome. I want to bring together a team and the money needed to do this. And then you go show it to people after you got it started. And there's a lot of things about it that they just don't understand, they just don't like. Listen to that and adjust and give up your concept and let the market take it from there. Entrepreneurship is, for the most part, all about planting seeds that will grow without you. And if that seed starts to grow, it's much like you could call it gardening, or even better, it's kind of like raising a child, right? And it will not be the way that you think it's going to be. And it's going to have a life of its own, and that's fine. You can still guide it, but it's not going to be exactly what you envisioned. So let it go. And so then collect market test results scientifically. Take them very seriously. If you can't prove with statistical significance that your product is, this new version of the product is liked better than the last one, then you have to ask yourself, do I really have any support that we're making progress, or is it just in my head? This is a very important one. Build the least expensive version of a product concept so it can be tested quickly. And in order to be tested, it only needs to have one thing in it. And that's the core value or the core concept of the product. The rest of it can be fake. So I get asked a lot, how do you know when you have something, it's complete enough to test with the market? And I say, well, what is it? And then someone says, it's a mobile app that gets you connected to all of the restaurants that you might like based upon places you've been before. And I say, okay, yeah, lean and agile principles, absolutely. That's what this is. And so I say, well, what does it do right now? And they say, well, it'll show you restaurants that you might like, but it doesn't track where you've been, and so on and so forth. And I say, okay, well, can you put fake information in? And they say, well, sure, but that'll only work for, like, a week. And then everyone will get, they'll understand that it's fake. And I say, great, put the fake data in, and for 1 week, release the product as if it's ready. And what almost always happens is they come back and they say, I tried it, and it turns out that not very many people liked it. So I'm really glad that I didn't spend all this time building the thing that collected data, because even with fake data, no one cared. No one cared about the product. They just saved themselves a month and thousands of dollars, right? Cool. Focus on the core, test that. All right, limit the number of managers. This comes from direct experience. Trust your testing process more than you trust your people. You have to trust your team, of course, but the numbers never ever lie. And so if you've got any kind of involvement with the market, direct connection to the market where you can record numbers, trust that more than anything else and have a process for managing that. All right, get thoroughly involved in the startup community. When you talk to other entrepreneurs, they're going to give you advice and feedback, and it's real. I mean, this is good stuff. There's a temptation, I think, to say, well, my startup is taking a lot of my time. I can't go to a meetup event and talk to other programmers or other entrepreneurs because I have to get my product ready, or I have to add this new feature or this or that. But the problem is you actually might be missing your next greatest partnership because of another startup. You might actually be missing the one piece of advice that turns your whole startup around, and you're not going to get it from your customers. That's going to come from your friends, and your friends in the startup world are other startuppers. Do not compete with the other startups. If 2 startups are doing the exact same thing, first, that's good because it means that it must be attractive. There must be something there that's real. But also, having them directly compete in a local area is not a good idea. What you should do is actually talk to each other about what you're doing. If you don't want to join forces, that's okay. There's probably some little difference between the 2 of them that allows both of them to exist at the same time successfully. But they should at least collaborate. Because why should the 2 of you try to solve the same problems when instead the 2 of you can solve problems together and agree that you stay over here and I'll stay a little over here and both succeed more than they would if they fought each other. There's too many enemies in the world at large to have your local startups be your competitors. There's plenty of other competitors. All right, it's much better to take action and be wrong than it is to do nothing just because you want to be right. I can't stress this enough. Do something. You can talk all you want. You can plan all you want, but just do something. I always think of Thomas Edison. He didn't know how he was going to invent a lot of the things that he invented, but he knew that he would if he just tried hundreds or thousands of things. So it was about doing more than it was about thinking. He had a process, but he did all the time. Okay, and most important advice, this is for you as an entrepreneur in general, not about your particular startup. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to have, I mentioned the quality of being able to see the big picture at the same time and do the one little thing at the same time, right? Well, also try this. When you talk about what you want to do, some, 75% of people say they give you negative feedback and tell you all the reasons why it won't work. That feedback is valuable, but the part of it that says no, don't, ignore that. It's crap. Because it's safe and easy to say no, but that's also stupid. Because in a world of no's, nothing would ever happen. So what you need to do is listen to the reasons so that you can improve your process. Because sometimes there's a real reason, right? Like they say, no, that won't work because. Well, the because makes sense. That doesn't mean it won't work. You just have one more problem to solve before it will. That's what you need to keep in mind. Otherwise, you'll make no progress. So in other words, do what your instincts tell you. Later, everyone else will appreciate it and say it was brilliant. So have fun ignoring everybody when they tell you it's wrong. You'll show them later. That's pretty much what I have. Says please the before slide. Thanks. Is that the slide you wanted? All right, cool. And it looks like we have some good questions here. And do we want to begin with the questions then? As I'm assuming there's some translation going on. Yes. Okay. Sure. Okay. So we have questions from earlier while I was presenting, and then we have some new questions. Well, this is the same. Is this the same Alexander who asked what products are we planning for the European markets, Eastern European markets? And then you've just asked now, describe the products that will be launched next year? Same person? Because they're similar questions. Oh, okay. I will answer the first question then, and then we will get to the next one. Okay, so what kind of applications, this comes back to like about 10:50 a.m. here, our time, my time was asked. What kind of applications I'm expecting for the East European market? Well, some of the concepts that we have growing inside of ICON is new computing technology, that is new hardware that is ready for some new mobile software at the same time. And so what we actually are looking at is a new mobile device that actually is capable of running mobile apps and mobile software, but does not need to be connected to the cellular network the same way. And so we don't know when it will, what progress will be made, but imagine in 2013 something that would be a very inexpensive smart mobile device that for which people could build apps, and we would build some of the starting apps for it. Also, there is the what's called resource sharing software, and you have in your workplace, you share things such as conference rooms or computer equipment or office space, and at home you share things like the family car, or you share something like the let's see here, you share the laptop or you share the iPad or whatever it is that you share. And there's not any good software for managing the sharing, but it's becoming harder and harder to share as you know, people are beginning to use technology and resources more and more. So there is some software that we've built for that it's getting used, but we don't know if we've got it just right yet. And when we know we've got it right, of course, it would be, we'd like to approach the East European markets when we get a chance. So there's some examples of products that may be available in the East European markets in 2013. Not 100% sure, of course, right, because we have to test them, but that's some examples. Okay, looks like there's a lot of questions, so I'll move on to the next. What kind of failures did I overcome? Boy, I'll tell you a lot. So the first failure that I had at age 12 was that I had a software company with no way to bring the software, which was distributed on floppy disks. At the time it was 1990. Windows 2.0 was out, just Windows 2.0. Or maybe 3.0 was out, I can't remember. But we had no way to distribute it. No capital for it, right? So that failed because what would have been a successful product had no way to reach its market. Other examples of failures, I had a computer hardware company in 2002, right after the internet, the wave of the internet revolution had kind of settled down, and it was a world of Amazon.com and eBay.com, and you know, these were the big players, and Dell computers, right? And so we made computer hardware, and we made custom computers. They had a custom appearance. So you would order your computer, and we'd make it look green and make it look like an alien and this and that, and it was kind of cool. We had some success, but the problem there is we failed to realize that things that were easy for us to do would be easy for larger companies to do, and we couldn't keep up. And so the failure there was that we tried, and we had a lot of hard workers, but we were working every day and night and every weekend. And for these other companies like Dell, they had people who were very well rested, who were just working, you know, during the day, and they had plenty of money and plenty of people, and everything we did, they could copy quickly. So it was like fighting a war that we couldn't win. That was another failure. So there's some examples. Also, just in general, a lot of my ideas, people don't like them. I think they're good ideas, and I give the software to a user and say, try this. And they try it, and they say, it's terrible. I hate it. Okay, there's a failure, right? I'd rather get those. I could fail like that all day, every day. It's kind of fun. No big deal. Okay, so I have then a question from Alexander. Is it outsourcing? I think when I was talking about Icon, right? It is not. It is like an outsourced technology department. Yes, kind of like that. A little different than your usual outsourcing, though, because we actually kind of become the partner with the company in order to build the technology. An example is one of our customers is Disney, the Walt Disney Company. And when Disney makes mobile games, part of the technology is something that they don't really know how to do. And so instead of outsourcing, which would mean that they hire someone to build something, they actually hire us to solve the problem. And so they say, this is what we want to achieve, but we don't know how to do it. And so we don't get a specification document or a requirements document. We just get a single sentence problem that says, figure this out. And we say, okay, and that's what we do. So we're more of a partner. Yeah. Cool. All right, so then I have a question. Could I mention, describe some educational companies I mentioned? Yes, I'm going to type them in the chat, actually. Here's two. You can look them up. BenchPrep is a very successful company here in Chicago. VLinks Media is on its way to being successful. Also, here's another one. and you can look those up. And I can't remember the URLs, I'm sorry, but you could look those up, and those are education tech companies. Very important education technology, because education in the United States is crappy. Not the universities. The universities are fine, a lot of them, but the public education, the high school and elementary school or grade school, not so good. It needs new technology to help it out. All right, so then I have, let's see here. Next question. Is it affordable for a small startup to benefit from my expertise? I mean, what's the price range of our service? Oh, you mean for Icon? Yes, we actually do a lot of work for startups. Here's what you need to ask yourself. Do you want something built as a startup that is, this big, but you don't know if it's going to work yet? Because if that's the case, how about building something this big? I would try to move my hands. There we go. This big for, I don't know what it would cost, maybe a couple of $1,000s. And then if that works, then you build this because you know for sure that that's worth putting the money into. But we have a lot of startups come to us because we convince them to build something smaller. Then when that looks like it's working, then everyone agrees to build something larger, right? And then the pricing is fine, it's affordable. It's cheaper than if they were to hire the engineers directly, because we tend to work rather fast. All right, so let's see here. How do I select team members to start with mobile app startup? What skills and knowledge is the most important to start successfully? I'll tell you, the most important skills and knowledge to have is, the knowledge is you need to understand from a technology perspective how these mobile devices, how computers work, and you need to understand programming. But you don't need to be very skilled in any particular language or anything. I just need to know that you know how to think logically. That's it. And so the test that we give people who interview with Icon, and it was the same test I gave people when they interviewed with 5 Degrees, are tests of thinking, tests of logic. Because if I know that somebody can think clearly and they have the right attitude and they're motivated, they can be taught all of the particular skills that they need. And they have the team to support them in learning those particular skills. And that avoids the problem of having very well-educated and experienced technologists who are kind of hard to work with or who don't have a big vision or don't have the right attitude. And so I'd rather train the right people to have the right skills. But the single most important thing is intelligence, the ability to think clearly and solve problems. Everything else can be taught. All right. Let's see here. Then we said lessons, and then somebody said lean and agile principles. That's exactly what all that was. All right. And then, okay, so then could I please describe in a few words the projects that will be launched next year? Yeah, it's similar to what I said. Maybe some other things that I could describe is also with the dawn of Windows 8 and the new Windows 8 tablet devices and phone devices, we will be launching some technology that brings your Android, iOS, and Windows mobile devices all together so that they have the same location sensing technology, and you can program against that API. So imagine if you wrote a piece of web software that said, when I get to the office, send an email to my coworkers saying this and that, or send a text message this and that. You wrote this on the web using this API provided by Icon. And it doesn't matter whether you have a Windows, an Android, or an iOS phone. As long as you have any of the mobile technologies, that API will sense when you've arrived at the office and trigger your web software to do what it needs to do. That's an example that is partially complete in testing, and we'll see when that comes to market. Obviously, the API would be open to everyone if it launches here. Cool. Let's see. Reformulate our big vision. Sure, it's very simple. The Icon big vision is to fill the entire world with amazing technology. That's it. It kind of goes without saying that we will make money, that we will choose technologies that are important or impactful, right? I mean, that's, of course, but the whole goal is to fill the world with technologies. Okay, question. Does Icon Labs guarantee to partner companies that it will protect the secret information while developing core services? Very sensitive question to many. Absolutely. In the past, I have been an architect for banks, for like financial institutions here in the U.S., and also the U.S. government and the U.S. military was one of my customers when I had a product at J.P. Morgan, and it just absolutely, it's at the absolute core of what we do. There's no question. So anyone who would have trouble guaranteeing the protection of information, the protection of technologies, would not be able to do what we do. It's just, you're right, it's absolutely important. Very sensitive. Cool, and then let's see. Can I give advice on how we connect to business angels from the US or other countries? Sure, I can try. The reason is that we don't have good opportunity to find such people in Belarus. That's what I hear. So it's going to be very challenging. There are a couple of reasons why it will be hard to find funding outside of Belarus. One such reason is that there's a lot of paperwork involved. It's getting funds in involves people filing appropriately, and of course now the connections between Belarus and the United States are not completely open, meaning that it's not a situation where it's a small piece of paper that you fill out and you can invest, right? So what you're going to need to do if you're going to attract money from other nations, you're going to need to find some way of managing that investment such that all of the problems are taken care of for the investors, and they therefore have some framework for evaluating the quality of the investment. So my first thought, what I would suggest, all of you need to band together and form some sort of organization that you all participate in that makes it possible for outside money to get transparent view of what's going on in Belarus and provide some assistance to the investors such that the investment is easier. That would be, without that, you're going to have too many roadblocks, and then it will make the money less attractive, or make it less attractive investment. It must be very hard. Must be very hard, and I think you're doing the right thing, though. Okay, so let's see. Give any advice on selling business-to-business software as a service projects in the U.S. market? Yeah. Well, so here's something. Enterprise sales and business-to-business sales requires a relationship. Very few companies buy right when they see something. They need to first try it. They need to get to know the company that's providing it or the individual, and that takes some time. So the best thing that you can do is actually talk to businesses about what they need, what problems they need solved, and tell them what it is that you can do to solve those problems, but don't expect the sale. If you can offer anything for free as a start, that will help build the relationship. Then all of a sudden, 6 months later, they say, we've decided that we've chosen you as our new vendor for blah, blah, blah. And the worst part is, when that happens, they won't warn you. So if you're not ready for that big of a customer at 6 months, all of a sudden you have 4 of them. They came out of nowhere. So be careful. With business to business, you need to have enough capacity for those customers, but they take a long time to get. And you need to have capacity the whole time because you never know when that relationship's going to turn into a sale. But it's all about building relationships. Bring them snacks, stop by their office, hang out for 30 minutes and offer some free advice based on what you do. just to help them get a start, and they will buy your product or service as long as it's a product or service that somebody wants, as long as it really solves a problem. Extending area, not only USA but also Asia. I don't know about Asia, I'm so sorry. I just don't. I think you'll have to research that one on your own. Could I describe some illustration examples of your ideas promotion, idea developing applications? Let's see. I don't think I quite understand the question. Maybe you could rewrite that question while I answer the next one. Can I name points that are very important for business-to-business customers to decide if they believe the startup? Yeah. Here's the number one way you can convince a business customer that it's okay to buy your product or service and trust you. When you have a different business customer that they respect. So where do you begin? Because until you have one, the first one wants to see that you already have one. When you have 5, you have no problem getting 5 more. But where do you get that first one? And the answer sometimes is to give it for free. Do whatever it takes. Because as soon as you get that one, what's called a reference client, then when everyone else says, well, it sounds interesting, but I don't know if you guys are gonna, really deliver what you promise, or you sound good, but I don't know how good you really are. You say, just talk to this other customer. And they say, oh, I know those people, right? Either that's our competitor, or that's our business partner, or that's a company that we, are aware of. We know the name. And you just say, here's someone at that company, here's their phone number. They said it's okay to talk to them. And they call them sometimes, and most of the time they don't call them. They don't. They just want to know that they can call them. And all of a sudden you start to get more and more customers, and it keeps going. So if you can find a simple problem to solve for the first customer and give it, and if you can afford to give it for free if they won't pay for it, then try to get them to pay something, But then you can start the ball rolling. And for Icon, it was simple. Our first customer was Disney. And that's because they already knew the talent that me and the team had, that we could. They knew what we could do. And so we got that customer because we had a relationship that had been waiting. And then as soon as we built something for them, it was awesome, and we could show everybody. And then it was just then the customers just started to pour in, because that's a name that means a lot. And we haven't been able to stop it since. So there you go. Does anybody want to try again with that question? The question says, it was at 11:32 Chicago time, and it said, could you describe some illustrational samples of my ideas promotion or idea developing application? So what is the question? Are you asking about promotion? And it's okay if you don't want to rewrite it. Yes, promotion. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the promotion depends on the market, and it depends on the value you are providing. So in the case of, let's say, the 5 Degrees product, when we were trying to promote that, the promotions usually were rather successful, because where do you need to keep track of communication and relationships? At events where you're meeting a lot of people. So we would actually go to events that people were networking, or trade shows where they're talking to a lot of prospective customers and business partners. We would go there, and we would walk around and show people how the technology worked, and they would download it because that was helpful. So the promotion was tied to the value that it brings in finding that market. In promoting Icon, it's very straightforward. Our best promotion mechanism is to be present in public speaking environments. So let's say that there's an event where technology leaders gathering to discuss maybe the problems with mobile technology in their enterprise. I'll go and I'll speak and I'll give a technological discussion and give some advice and so on. And almost always they say, well, you seem to understand our problems very well. Any chance that your company is available for hire? And I say, that's what we do. And then we have a new customer. Very straightforward, because the value is right there on display. So think of whatever it is that your startup is doing, what value it's providing, and then be in that place with the right people demonstrating the value. That's the best promotion. All right, how to calculate the initial price for a product? It's the same answer, just a little different. Business. Hopefully, did I cover? I see now the business-to-business promotion question. I covered that, right? I think so. It's the same, right? So I do business-to-business selling, right, for Icon. How to calculate the initial price? The answer is the same. So think of the value provided by the product. In the case of, let's say, a product that saves time, let's say saves time planning the arrangement of materials on a train, right? So it's a train for shipping products, right? And you have written some software that puts all of the materials in an optimal arrangement, and therefore you fit more materials. Perfect. What value? The value is not that it produces a new layout, that it puts the things in place. The value is that you're able to fit more in the same train. Now you should be able to put a number on that. How much more? Because of this software, how much more? And let's just say that the answer comes out to be that you can fit $10,000 worth of more material on that train, and that the cost of transporting that material, because now it more fits in the same train, is now reduced, and you save a grand total of a real savings of $1,000 every time that train goes out. I would think that you'd be able to sell that software for somewhere around $10,000 per copy. Just because if you're saving that much money because of the software, every time a train leaves the station, leaves the warehouse or something, then over the course of a year, you recover far, far more than the price of the product. So, to answer it more simply, the price of the product must be some multiple of the value such that the purchaser, right, such that the customer does not have to wait longer than 1 year to recover the cost of the product in the value that they get back. And that's your upper limit. And then you've got other problems in there too, but that's a deeper discussion, right? It's like, what do they perceive, so on. Let's see, where have I found my first team members? I have an idea but don't have a team and a technical background. What would you advise to the bearer of new ideas to do? Which direction to move? Well, if you're so teams like to be involved with things that are working, with things that are getting traction is the term, right? And so to attract a team, the first thing that you need to do is get some kind of progress going without the technology team. So if you can, I don't know what the idea is, but let's say that the idea is something business to business. If you can describe the product and put together some materials almost as if you are selling it already. Almost, right? So like maybe the piece of paper has all of the advertisement graphics and everything. There's no real software. And then at the bottom it says, available in 2013. Please write to so-and-so for information. If you produce that, for example, and you go and you pass that out at all of the businesses that could be customers, and you can get some phone calls or some emails asking, hey, I'm interested in hearing more, it should be easier to get a team. I don't know where you would advertise for the team, but I think the startup community is a good place to check. Everyone wants to be a part of something that's getting somewhere. And so the first thing you'd have to do is, and besides, this will save you so much headache too, so much money and so much problem. Because what if you passed out that flyer, that advertisement paper, and nobody wants it? And you called some of the companies and said, did you get that? And they say, I saw it. And you say, why don't you want it? And they give you a whole bunch of reasons why they don't want it. Now you didn't need a team, did you? So start selling it. And if you can start selling it, people will want to join you. But of course, then you have to put the word out that you're looking for a team. Startup community, good idea. Okay, and so the kind of similar here. How do you get great people to work at your first startup? Were they inspired about the idea, or to give them some benefits? Well, the mechanism of stock options is a great way to attract talent because is the audio still okay? The video's frozen, but audio's okay. Okay, gotcha. All right, just one person. Sorry. Stock options are really good. They allow people to own a piece of what it is that they're helping build. And if they own it, then they say, well, if this company becomes the next Facebook, then or the new contact, right? Then I own a piece of something amazing, something huge, and I'll get the benefits. That's one way. But more than that, the best way to attract people, and how I attracted people, is that they could tell in a room full of entrepreneurs at events where, startup community, right, where people are all meeting and having a drink and talking. I was one of the few people at the event who really didn't care whether or not anyone followed me. I was going to do it anyway. So when I gave my presentations and so on and talked to people and said, hey, I'm starting a new company, who wants to join, and so on, it was so easy for people to join me because they knew I was going to go there with or without them. So they might as well join me. And there are other entrepreneurs that have trouble bringing together a team because they don't have that confidence. They don't know if in 20 years they're going to be in the software industry or what they're going to be doing. And people can sense that, and they say, well, I don't know if I'll be wasting my time if I join this startup. I want to join one that I know will work. And that's a very hard thing to replicate, right? I'm not advising you to go into a startup community event and say, I'm going to make it no matter what, because no one's going to believe you. I think what you need to do is you need to try your best to get some traction showing that you've got something that's worth joining, and then let people participate in some of the ownership with you, of course, so that they have a reason to stick around and a reason to make it great. That's probably the best method. And that's the standard method. Right out of the University of Chicago Business School, they say, take 20% of your company and distribute it to the 5 people joining your team. And that's what they need in order to be invested and stay. Cool. Let's see. All right, that's all the questions I have for the moment. Anything else?
Kilton, can you hear me? Just type in chat, please. Okay. Kilton, now we would like to present some startups from Belarus. They would like to get feedback on their startup, and we will have 3 teams here. So we'll give them about 2 minutes to tell about the startup, and then please give some recommendation how to promote their startup on US market and answer their questions, please. Ребята, первое.
Вы можете задать вопросы касательно вашего стартапа, или если вы предлагаете презентацию, его
Друзья, мы сейчас сделаем вот короткую презентацию тех команд, которые здесь находятся у нас, собственно, в офлайн, и хотим получить просто обратную связь от Килтона и попробовать строить такой элеватор пищи. Дим, пожалуйста.
Hi, Kilton. Thanks for answering my questions about B2B customers, and I'd like to present you our startup. So it's an online service for marketers that help them to create different types of promotions, such as sweepstakes, coupons, forms, contests, and so on. So marketer can publish it to any channel such as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and other social networks, and then get leads and all statistics regarding running promotions. So we are interested in running this service for USA and West Europe market and for Asia, because according to our investigations, there is not so much competitors on Asia markets. So that's why I asked you about Asia. And so I'd like to get your feedback about the idea of what features maybe you see can be developed and what should be the main strategy to push it to USA market. Thanks.
If you have any questions, please type it. Yeah, type it, please.
Okay, so marketer can create promotions such as sweepstake, coupon, form, and some other. Customize it and publish, for example, to Facebook. So what about how to get money? There are some ideas now. We are thinking about transactional one. So marketer pays for running promotions for time period, maybe for leads and so on. We don't know yet what will be the best choice for us.
Okay. So следующий проект. Потом уже просто он даст общую обратную связь и там пойдет проект.
Hi, Hugo. Thank you for your time this morning, and thank you for your brilliant answers on our maybe not so clear and sometimes stupid questions. But anyway, I'd like to present to you my B2B project. It's not a startup, it's yet another CRM orders management project that helps small business companies to track their orders, sales, and customers more efficiently, as well as to track new channels, sales channels using widgets that they can place somewhere on existing website, store, or on any blog like WordPress or Blogger. My service, my project is pretty young, but I think it can be successful. And my question is, what are the main features my project should have to have difference from existing projects on US market? You know Salesforce, you know HQ.com, and much more CRM systems on the market. Can you recommend me any killer feature that will give me some customers to maybe adopters, early adopters on US market? My project is already launched. You can view how it looks like, and Alex wrote it in the chat. It's in Russian, but in few days I hope I will provide you with English version. So it is. Thank you for your answers, and I would like to get in touch with you after this meeting. So let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Okay, the third one.
Hello, Kilton. I'd like to represent you our peer-to-peer fundraising platform that called goodvillian.com. Recently we launched at US, and what is Goodvillian is? It's a place where you can donate your time to by auctioning of a meeting with yourself, or bid to win a meet with other person. And the most amazing feature is money mostly goes to charity. We have 3 key points in our project. It's meetings, some kind of dating. We have different kind of meetings. Then it's charity. We support different types of charity, and communication with different charity organizations to transfer money for charity. And why it's fundraising? It's because people can support some organization to create a meeting or bid a meeting that supports that organization. So the most important problem today for us in US, we need to invite or find some celebrities or famous people, maybe from startup community, that can get participant in our project or bid for a meet for this. That's all. Thanks. That's all.
Okay, thank you guys. Kilton, now please turn on your camera, and we'll be waiting your feedback for these teams, for these startups.
All right. Can everyone see me and hear me again? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Cool, cool. All right. So for the first one, it sounds like, just let me know, you can type yes in the chat. It sounds like, if I understand correctly, what you're doing is you're providing kind of a coupon or special offering platform for businesses to use, and the particulars of the deal or the coupon are not that important, that they use your technology to offer that deal. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I got it right. Okay, cool. Great. So the advice that I have is, I think it's actually a very good idea to go after the Asian markets. The US market is going to be okay, but it's more brand oriented. Got it. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. The US market is going to be your hardest market to enter. That's because there's a lot going on in this space. But no matter which market you go into, what you need is, you need someone who understands the particulars of that market and what people are going to want to see. An offer is an offer, but it has to be exactly the right type. So for a small business such as a restaurant, the offer only makes sense if you understand the nights that people go out to restaurants. In the city of Chicago, it's not a big deal. People are going out to restaurants every day and every night. But in the suburban areas around Chicago, people don't go out to eat until Friday night. That's when people spend that's when they spend some money, and that's when they go and kind of celebrate. It's the weekend, and they go out to dinner. So offering a deal on a Friday night could be good, could be bad. But you wouldn't know that unless you were from the area. Do whatever you can to find in each market someone who understands what people want. Or find enough people to talk to so that you understand what they want. Either way, the process is the same. The first thing to do is to understand what format of a deal would be appreciated most. Then when you go to talk to the businesses about offering that deal, such as a brand in China, let's say it's a consumer brand of breakfast cereal. I'm just making something up. Once you understand what the mentality of the people that would be seeing the deal, where they would see it, what kind of content it would contain, the particular numbers of the deal, and so on. Once you understood that, then when you go to the Chinese brand of breakfast cereal, right, or consumer foods, right, that sort of thing, you talk to them about the format of the deal, and they say, that sounds great. I think that'll work. But if you go to them and talk about what worked in another market and it doesn't match up, you'll have a very hard time selling. And in the US, you would need someone to do the brand partnering with you, because you won't get the attention of, let's say, the clothing brand, The Gap. You would never get anyone at The Gap to talk to you. They would only want to talk to you about your local market. So to talk about the US market, you would need to show that someone in the US, let's say a marketing agency or another startup in the US that's doing branded deals, you would need to have them involved, someone who clearly shows that they understand the US market. And then after you had one or two clients, it would be no big deal, right? I mean, as soon as you show one or two of them, then the rest will say, you must have something here, I'll pay attention. But that's what I would do next if you were going to talk to. I love the concept of the Asian markets. And I think deals are more important than ever because people there are on a tight budget, but they want to live large. They're about to emerge from what has been a slow-growing, rural economy. It's exploding into this modern, this modern world where there's a lot more income. But they still they're not wealthy yet. They're just earning enough. And the same thing happened in India. So the next things they want to do is they want to buy more, and they want to buy bigger brands. And the deal helps them do that. I think it's perfect time to be there. Cool? The second. This one is the CRM software, right? I have a lot to say, of course, about this. So for your CRM software, here's a couple pieces of advice. You had asked what features might be the right features in order to get traction and so on, especially in the US markets. Well, what I would do if I were to go back and do CRM all over again, I would attack or approach a marketplace that didn't currently, either one of two things, either a marketplace that didn't currently have CRM at all. So find something, smaller businesses or an older industry that doesn't do CRM well. Maybe they have some software, but it's very outdated. Something that has still a need for the core CRM concepts. Or I would find the couple of things that are missing for some particular marketplace, some particular industry that are missing from like a Salesforce or something like that, and I would go add that and make it work with the existing software. So if I were to approach U.S. CRM market right now, there's a lot of CRM out there. So I wouldn't probably try to find the first type. It's again maybe different from where you are, but I would then say, okay, let me take the second type. Let me add something that's missing, and I would probably find a way to make a really fast, easy to use mobile CRM that is built on top of Salesforce. And it's built for a particular industry, such as, let's say, the insurance industry. So I would just go and talk to insurance salespeople and say, okay, I see what you do with your CRM software, and I see that you're using Salesforce. Would you like a mobile version that also does these couple of things that are particular to the insurance agency and the insurance industry? And they'd probably say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then I'd say, let me go draw it on paper. I'd do it in Photoshop. Then I'd come back and say, what about this? What do you think? And if they say, that's it, that's way better than the Salesforce stuff we've got, then I'd say, okay, well, you already pay for Salesforce. Now I'll just pay me $20 a month for each copy of this, and it works with your Salesforce. And they'd probably be happy with that. But it's going to be all about the particular industry, and you might need to work with Salesforce if you're going to get it right. The features, there's so many. In CRM, there's so many features that I really advise against looking at having a large chunk of features to get a market, to get a user base. I would look at providing the one or two that nobody provides, and I don't know what those are, because if I did, 5 degrees would have been better. So that's my advice for you there. But I think there's a lot of money to be made there, a lot of money. But that's the approach. Cool. And then for the third there, for goodwillian.com, you're welcome, by the way. So I really like what you're doing. And I see that you've got the opportunity to help nonprofits. I mean, the value you're creating, right, is that nonprofits get more funds raised or get more donation. And they do that because the people on the other side, this camera's backwards, let me think, okay, this hand, okay. This is the nonprofits, right, and they're getting more funds raised because of you. And over here, you've got people that wish they could contribute, and they're able to contribute more because of you. You sit right in the middle here, and you're facilitating. Whenever you facilitate two sides of a network and bring them together, you have to make your money in the middle. So there's no way to charge the customers. Okay, 5 minutes, no problem. I'll be done in just a moment. There's no way to charge the people on the nonprofit side because they're trying to raise money. You can't charge them directly. There's no way to charge the celebrities and this and that. What you need to do is you need to take a tiny little bit of the stuff that you make, the value that you make. So if everybody on the user side, if what they're looking for is a way to be involved with charities that's fun and attractive and cool and this and that, make more awesome events that are built around fundraising. And let's say the ticket to the event is $20, or you collect donations. Then you got to take your piece of that, right? And then now how do you get more events going? You tell the nonprofits very clearly, we arrange events that bring you more money. We take our fees out of that money, so you lose nothing. You only have the potential to gain. And we need you to help us support it by telling your current members that they also need to come to this event. Now your events have a feedback loop coming from the organizations themselves, and together it's like a promotional partnership. The bigger the events get, the more likely celebrities will be asking you if they can be there because it helps their career. All in all, you're making a network. You deserve a piece of the value, but you've got to take it out of bringing those two sides together. I think that's what you're doing, and I think that's really good. I think you're right on track. I would just stay very focused on the value you're creating and talk to the users you have and say, why do you like using this, versus just writing to the company directly and writing them a check. Why do you like using us instead? Because the more you understand about what's going through their head, the easier it will be for you to create successful events, and therefore more money, more revenue for you, more success for your nonprofits. Cool? Okay.
Kilton, thank you very much for your emotional presentation, for your time, and for sharing your experience. Could you share some contacts, your contacts, and perhaps write you a letter, for example, to ask some question? Please type in chat. Thank you. Hope to see you in Belarus soon, and have a good day. Всем, кто нас смотрел, большое спасибо. Друзья, приходите в четверг на Startup Day, мероприятие бесплатное, будет интересно. Регистрация на сайте Startup-школы. Также будем рады вас видеть на следующей стартап-школе, она будет в среду, не в эту, а, собственно, через неделю, 21 числа. Будет похожий формат, вероятнее всего, с видеотрансляцией. Следите за новостями в рассылке и на сайте Startup-школы. Kilton, thank you so much and have a good day. Друзья, до свидания, до новых встреч.